of Barbados, the Honourable Mia Amor-Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, Their Excellencies the Honourable Uhuru
get better as we keep Absolutely. We're happy to be here. Come on in. Hongera, dada. Hongera, hongera. Fantastic. I go for movie. Well done. Who do I see?
And Your Excellency, welcome you to Barbados yet again. This is for us a special moment. We believe that, as I indicated to you, shortly after we became the government, when we were discussing the thrust of our foreign and in claiming our Atlantic destiny, we realized that we would effectively be building on our historical platform, and that is developing relations with Africa. But in particular, we understood that to be effective, we would need to decide how we would proceed. And to that extent, we made a determination that your country and Ghana would be the first two countries that we would work over the course of the first 2 years in our administration to establish stronger diplomatic relations with us.
It is my special pleasure to welcome Your Excellency President Kenyatta, Mrs. Kenyatta, and the members of the Kenyan delegation to Barbados. Your visit is a testimony to the friendly relations which exist between Barbados and the Republic of Kenya. It demonstrates the importance that our two countries attached to that relationship. During your visit, I am confident that you will have fruitful discussions and positive engagements, and that numerous avenues for future cooperation between Barbados and Kenya will be revealed. Your Excellency, Our relationship was established in 2014 on the basis of mutual understanding, respect, and dignity. And I am sure that everyone here is eagerly looking forward to working together for the joint development of our peoples. Following this visit, I believe that our strengthened relationship will be expressed at a new level of interaction and cooperation. Furthermore, I am confident that our common values and shared interests will continue to unite our two countries. We share similar views on major issues such as efforts to fight climate change and the recognition of the importance of the sustained development of the blue economy. We have begun to build a relationship which is based on mutual trust and respect. It is therefore timely to extend our collaboration to a new level, to explore further opportunities for development, and to structure a wider network of activity that can only serve to strengthen our bilateral relationship. This will certainly redound to the benefit of all of us. In the spirit of friendship, I would now like to propose a toast to Your Excellency President Kenyatta and Mrs. Kenyatta, to the continued friendship between our two nations, and to the health, prosperity, and happiness of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Your Excellencies,
both the University of the West Indies and Ross University in this building and others are in a position to expand the numbers of medical students only if we have access to internships. And while the government of Barbados is in the process of transferring the old St. Joseph Hospital to a special purpose vehicle, that we will allow the University of the West Indies to own 75% of and us 25%, that will still only take care of so much. So the extent to which we can meet the needs of Kenya and our own needs by partnering in the expansion of medical education is a key opportunity for us to explore.
Had been largely ignored and left out of the formal sector. But when it was realized that the strength and the depth of this informal sector, we started putting in place mechanisms now to support it and to more or less formalize it so that they could get into issues of access to financing. We, for example, set up a number of funds that were specifically dedicated to giving some of these SMEs credit, because we found that was one of the biggest. We had an archaic Companies Act and Partnership Act that we inherited from our colonial masters, which had remained untouched for many years. But we came to realize that within it was what was actually, the law itself was causing us the problems, because people were taking advantage of things that were contained in these, old and archaic, because, you needed this particular document signed in this particular way, didn't take into account we're in a digital world, didn't take into account electronic signatures, didn't take into account many things. So the first thing we did was to review completely the Partnership Act, the Insolvency Act, and the Company Act. This we did combined the three. So that really brought us all the way up to date with all the latest requirements, changes in law, removing a lot of unnecessary duplications that had been built into the law. So just by revamping the law alone and digitizing now, our lands records, our records in the AG's chambers in terms of the registration of companies, by also removing, again, certain provisions, like in the Company Secretaries Act, that if I wanted to register, I couldn't have just a very simple basic form to register, and I had to have a company notary, stamp it in a particular way, and it needed to be held back for 60 days before, so we removed a lot of all that material out. That in itself dropped us very major, way down the hill, just by cleaning up the act, making it more efficient, and digitizing records. That was really the key behind the marked improvement in score in that particular area.
But we recognize also that in order to really deepen people-to-people engagements between the people of our two countries, we also really need to focus on economic collaboration. How do we get our business people to cross-invest? How do we get our business people to do more trade with one another? Because if we were to succeed in that, we have actually succeeded in joining our two regions at the hip. We talked about how we would be able to push together, especially in terms of shipping logistics. How can we take advantage of our respective locations to boost that business for the benefit of our people? So, Prime Minister, for me, this has been not just a great experience from a nostalgic or historic point of view, but also a great eye-opener as to the tremendous potential that exists if we come together. We have agreed that we will not lead from the rear. We're going to lead from the front. We want to lead our respective regions from the front. We want to be the pioneers. We want to give the political will that is necessary, that will ensure that we bring our people closer together. And with that regard, my sister here, I have a good champion. A champion who believes that this is indeed the time for Africa and her diaspora. And that can only happen if we come together, stand together, and work together for the benefit of our own people. But we recognize also that in order to really deepen people-to-people engagements between the people of our two countries, we also really need to focus on economic collaboration. How do we get our business people to cross-invest? How do we get our business people to do more trade with one another? Because if we were to succeed in that, we have actually succeeded in joining our two regions at the hip. We talked about how we would be able to push together, especially in terms of shipping logistics. How can we take advantage of our respective locations to boost that business for the benefit of our people? So, Prime Minister, for me, this has been not just a great experience from a nostalgic or historic point of view, but also a great eye-opener as to the tremendous potential that exists if we come together. We have agreed that we will not lead from the rear. We're going to lead from the front. We want to lead our respective regions from the front. We want to be the pioneers. We want to give the political will that is necessary, that will ensure that we bring our people closer together. And with that regard, my sister here, I have a good champion. A champion who believes that this is indeed the time for Africa and her diaspora. And that can only happen if we come together, stand together, and work together for the benefit of our own people. Barbados has a large network of treaties, double taxation agreements, and bilateral investment treaties, and we recognize, as we always have, that we will never be able to host mass-based manufacturing or industry. But Kenya does have that capacity, and indeed, in a world where trade wars are abounding, the opportunities, and with the establishment of the Continental Free Trade Agreement in Africa, the opportunities for Kenya to be able to expand its production capacity and its industrial base are significant. But we can add value by being that location from which the returns on investment can even be greater because of the domiciling of the enterprises in Barbados, and be able to reduce their level of taxation while affording still the level of protection in terms of investment. We have common diasporic persons in Canada who have already understood that, but we believe that we can significantly expand it in areas of mutual interest, in areas of pharmaceuticals, in areas of renewable energy, in areas of replacement of materials for single-use plastics, which all of us are banning because of the negative implications for the environment. And of course, Kenya is the location on this earth where the United Nations Environmental Programme is located, and therefore, and headquartered, and therefore our continued commitment to sustainable development and to making the environment within which we live a better environment is foremost in our mind while we look for opportunities for good business. And we feel that that partnership is there. We recognize that the opportunities for intra-ACP trade are critical. We were reminded this morning that the intra-ACP trade is lower than 20%, while intra-EU trade is in the vicinity of the high 60s, 68, 69%, and in NAFTA almost 50%. So what is it about the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific countries that have allowed these obstacles to remain, that we do not see the commercial and economic opportunities within the South among ourselves, and to use it to drive the prosperity of our populations? We also discussed the opportunities with Blue Economy. We discussed the opportunities for trade and investment in areas of marine tourism. Kenya, like Barbados, has a heavy reliance on tourism as well. We're both mature tourism destinations, and we believe that there are partnerships in training, in product development, and also in investment. Traditionally, Barbadians do not invest in Africa in tourism. Traditionally, Africans do not invest in the Caribbean in tourism. But there's absolutely no reason for it not to happen. And we believe that that investment shouldn't only be at the level of large investors or wealthy investors, but if we can create the opportunities. Kenya has led the world in financial inclusion with their work in digital money. And if we can work as well to create new financial instruments, Barbados has led the region with respect to the development of our credit union sector and financial inclusion there. And if we can leapfrog into a digital framework, and if we can at the same time create the instruments for the export of capital, for investment in renewable energy in Kenya, investment in industry in Kenya, investment in industry in tourism, and for Kenyans equally to invest back into Barbados in the areas of the traditional economy such as tourism, but also in the new economy in renewable energy and medical cannabis, then I believe that we will have a platform that will benefit all of us.
Governor General, let me say that I admire your accomplishments with great pleasure. You have become the first woman member, and you became the first woman member of the Barbados Bar Association at a time when women were still fighting for equal opportunities. So it shows your strength and character. Barbados, as you have said, is a strategic partner for Kenya in the Caribbean. You are an English-speaking country, and our similarities are greater than our differences. This visit, therefore, was a visit long overdue, and I thank my sister Mia for the invitation. As developing countries, we need to work in solidarity in pursuit of changes that mutually benefit us, economically, but also internationally through enhanced bilateral engagement, especially with regard to South-South cooperation. Your Excellency, Governor General, our engagement with our extended African diaspora has, as we have said in our discussions, been lacking. However, it is my belief that this visit will lead to stronger links and bonds of friendship between our two countries and the people of the wider Caribbean region and the African continent.